Two kids from Queens, cut from a different cloth. Now joining forces, helping you to elevate your personal brand. Yeah, I'm talking about Nicky and Moose, bringing you a never-before-seen perspective into the mindset, the mentality, the behaviors, the driving force, but more importantly, the stories behind the people and brands that you know and love the most.
What's poppin', what's poppin', what's poppin'? This is Nikki. Shout out to everybody who's watching this replay. Hashtag replay squad. Hashtag replay gang. Y'all know we're going to be talking about J.Cole. Y'all know we're going to be breaking down the brand side of things, the strategy, the business side of things. So if you are a J.Cole fan, if you don't even know J.Cole, it doesn't even matter. You're going to learn way more than before. But let me introduce my brother from Queens, just another kid from Queens. What up, Moose? Moose. There we go.
Queens kids.
Thank
Queens
you.
kids. All the way. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I'm excited for today, though. I will admit, this one's going to be special. I feel like I said that the last maybe 3 times, but for real, this one though.
This one?
This one's going to be really special.
Oh, okay.
This one's going to be special.
I'm with it. So I want to address something real quick. I do want to address something real quick. So the name, all right? The name of the show. Shout out to the text gang, text squad. I asked the question because brand and business breakdown, Nicky and Moose, it was just too long. And we've been going back and forth and everything like that. I got input. And legitly, we're just calling this Nicky and Moose. We're going to keep this super plain. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. Whatever I said. That way. Yeah, that way. That's Moose. We're just going to keep it really simple. It leaves us opportunity to go whatever direction we want to go. So if this forms into a different title based off y'all, we're here for it. But look, let's get into this intro.
J.Cole, not Jay-Z, but this that blueprint feel. Hey, Cole, is you crazy? That's some big boots to feel. Yeah, straight out the veil and the shoes fit well. See, haven't seen him. See niggas get killed. Every detail. Still never retail. Scared of the repercussion. Scared of the people busting. Bullets be hitting niggas, you swear they can be percussion. Niggas be holding truth before they can be instructions. Never think our fathers teach us nothing.
Moose. Start it off.
It's cool because you know why? It gives you that feeling of legit being a child. And probably athletes will resonate with this a little bit more. Being an athlete in the locker room, getting ready for the big game. You know, you super geeked and excited, like, yo, like I'm about to get my shot. Like I'm about to go for it. I can do it. And although you have confidence in yourself, you know you're good and you can measure up. But then you finally go out there and it's like, I've arrived. There's like this sense of arrival, which I think is really dope. So at first glance, that's what I saw. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, so the intro itself just showed like from when he started kind of vibe, like getting ready to just a few glimpses of the career to like the big stage, right? So I just wanted people to just kind of feel that and see like how it started kind of, because that was from I think that was Friday Night Lights. Yeah. I think that was the trailer for Friday Night Lights. So nothing big, but Moose, tell the people about J.Cole though.
So let me give the personal side, right?
Okay.
Personally, probably one of my favorite artists of all time. And I know that's kind of like a stretch. It's like, whoa, of all time. And I will say yes. Now, of course, as you get to study somebody, you start to see the different personality traits or some of the things that really resonate, and you see some of the similarities, like, wow. And I think the beautiful thing about music is that as you listen, you don't realize why you connect with somebody's story so much or what they're saying or why, but really they see the world through a similar lens. Now, I think we're going to have a nice debate about which character he is, right? But I would like to say that J. Cole resonates a little bit closer to my side of the spectrum in terms of his personal assessment. But when you think about just a powerful career, someone who started rapping at 13, began producing his own music at 16, right? Left his hometown and came to Queens.
Right.
New York City. He came to Queens, right where we're from.
Right.
In pursuit of his big dream, like to pursue that big thing in the big city. And believe it or not, he was the first artist signed under Roc Nation in 2009. So powerful experience or powerful come up though, because you would be like, wow, like started at 13, producing at 16, moved to New York, got first artist to get signed to Roc Nation in 2009. But at the same time, it wasn't the easiest journey. Like there were definitely some bumps along the ride, some things that would make you kind of really get a clear, honest look at what it's like to build yourself up, right? And more importantly, build yourself up in a way that is true to who you are with your own core values. So that's really the part that I think is so dope about Cole and how he was able to, just really fight amongst a lot of the pressure that was put on him. Fair.
Thoughts? I ain't got no thoughts. You just gave an intro. I ain't got no thoughts. I mean, J. Cole's fire. I think that with Cole, he created a different kind of lane, especially as he came out. That is, you're used to a certain kind of style. You're used to a certain kind of way to distribute certain things. And J. Cole kind of did it differently, like the same, but differently through his journey that I kind of want to get into. But I mean, overall, J. Cole is fire. Overall, I think he still has a lot more to go. So I don't know how deep I can go into J. Cole. So this is going to be, yeah, I think he has way more to go. I think there's a lot more things that, we can only touch on his music. So I'm here for it because I'm a music junkie, but I think he has way more to go. So what direction you want to go first, Moose?
Yeah, let's start with the person. Let's start with the person and breaking down, I guess, the behavior. Let's start with the behavior and the person.
Fair. So, this is how I'm gonna go start with. So, first, I want everybody who do know about J. Cole, right? Before I give these clues, because what I'm gonna do is give you clues on what we think he is, right? So, we're gonna call it. We have a segment called brand behavior. Okay, so pretty much, is he a pilot? Hold on, let me put these up. Hold up. Oh, why do I only got a few of them? Hold on, let me get these right. All right. He's either a pilot, a flight attendant, a grounds crew, and an air traffic controller, right? So as I break down these different parts of his behavior and the brand side of things, I want you guys to definitely comment what you think he is, okay? If you do not know what any of this means, right? If you do not know what any of this means, I need you to go to flightassessment.com, take the assessment. You'll fully understand what we're talking about. But let me get straight into it. Oh, I see. Like, hey, beautiful people. Let me just put that out there because I love those kinds of. What's poppin'? So, all right. First, let's talk about growing a fan base. Now, y'all know I'm super big about growing the tribe, growing the core audience, right? And what Cole did was super unique, that a lot of artists wish they had. So let me break down the fan base for you real quick.
I didn't have a hit. The industry mind state at this time, up until I dropped my album, was the industry mind state was we sign an artist, we put the artist in the studio. When we feel he has a song that's ready, or he convinces us that this song is the one, we put the song out. If it connects, we give him a release date, we put them out, we see what happens. That if you didn't have a song that connected at radio and the music to the record label, why would you put out an album? Mm-hmm. They didn't see that when I go do these shows and it's 1,000 kids outside, or I'm going to Toronto and I'm selling it and it's 4,000 kids in Toronto, or I go to LA and it's 3,000. They don't see that. You know, they didn't know if that translated to sales. So what we learned is a real solid fan base is way more important than a record at radio or in the clubs, because you have rappers right now who would love to switch positions with me, but they're way hotter than me.
So let me break this down real quick. So what the radio used to do, what record labels used to do, right? And don't think so much about music when I'm speaking. Even though we are speaking about a music artist, just think about industry as a whole, right? So what the music industry used to do was you get an artist, you pretty much try to find a single, right? You let that single rock, and then you distribute the album, right? The difference is that J.Cole, based off his touring and based off like the albums and the mixtapes that he was putting out, he didn't concentrate on bodies of work per se, as far as the standard way of doing things is putting an album out. He concentrated more on the fan base. He concentrated more on touching the people, because he knew when he could touch the people, right, anything that he wanted to happen would happen. People who would drop a first album don't necessarily have the numbers that J. Cole dropped on his first album, period, right? Without hardly any kind of hype or anything. He created what people are doing now. Like, you don't necessarily need a record label now. You don't necessarily need hype now. And J. Cole, I think, was one of the pioneers as far as setting up your own path to the music industry, your own way. Like, I'll do the touring, I'll put out my music and everything like that. Now, when he got signed to Roc Nation and all that, that was great, but he was still building as if he wasn't signed during that time, because when he dropped and Moose, you could correct me, when he dropped like 2 of the mixtapes, he was getting a buzz, he still didn't have an album release date. They're like, yo, I'm working, this is great, right? And he dropped the album, right? They gave him an album release based off his first single, which I'm gonna get into that too. But he dropped I'm messing up my words now. He dropped a single. They gave him a release date, right? And something in him didn't feel right, but it sold. Why? Because he built that fan base first. It doesn't matter how the single did or anything like that. And like I said, we'll get into that. But his first album did great numbers based off what he had built and established beforehand. So I flip it real quick to say that's why it's important to build that tribe first and foremost, because everything else that happens is automatically going to sell by itself, automatically going to get the exposure, automatically going to do what it's supposed to do, because you fed the people first. So, Moose, I don't know if you wanted to add to that. And actually, I would love to know, since this is your favorite artist, when did you become a fan?
Yeah, so I was, it was that great debate. I'm not going to lie. It was the great debate because, you know, him and Drake kind of at least hit the limelight at the same time. And they were both projected to be like the future, the next big thing. Mm-hmm. And Drake was more of the apparent one, at least because Best You Ever Had came out. I was a senior in high school at that time, and that was just like the song of the entire spring going into the summer. Like literally, it was like as high school seniors, just as you're about to start driving, like that was the go-to jam for every one of those times. So I think I started off as favoring more to Drake's music, but as I evolved and listened to the content itself, I was like, yep, I like Drake. I'm not saying I don't like Drake, but J.Cole definitely there's more context to what he's saying in the music that he's putting out. Now, here's the part that I want to bring to people's attention here as we look at how he started and also what you're saying, because I'm with you 100%. And as we started doing more reading and researching in preparation for this episode, we really started to see how J. Cole stayed true to this concept of letting creativity lead first, right? Now, there's an interesting part that comes apart, and we'll cover that in a little bit later in terms of how he had to kind of shift and adapt. But here's where I think he actually went wrong, right? Because he had that connection with his fan base, yes, putting music out to his fan base, making that connection. He had true loyal people. But as you listen to him say in the interview, he went out to these shows, had several thousand people come up, but there was no real proof back to the label, the people who are cutting the check or controlling from a higher end, that could respond and say, oh, okay, yep, we see what you're doing out there. Although it's not the typical route that an artist may take, we see what you're doing and we're going to trust. So talk about for a moment, maybe from your perspective, yes, I need to build my tribe, but from a business standpoint, there's also a numbers that come into play where I have to prove a concept.
Yeah.
Like, what's the balance between, and this is kind of where I wanted to start for the first layer, what's the balance between, yes, continuing to build a tribe, which may be doing the untraditional thing, right? Or the thing that's not most common, and maybe doing more free or giving a little bit more than you would like. But what's the balance between building a tribe, building a fan base, and then also making sure that from a numerical standpoint, you have something solid that you can go back to, whether it be potential investors, people you're going to collaborate with, partners, and show, hey, here's what I've been able to establish with a creativity first concept. Like, mind you, here's what I've done numbers wise without even pushing the business. So imagine if we come together, what we can do. So maybe you can talk about that a little bit. What are some ways that strategically a brand or a business owner out there can begin to think about, all right, yes, fan base, after all, and as you watch the trajectory happen, J. Cole's fan base is what actually kept him in the game. Without that loyalty, this doesn't happen. But talk about that balance of having proof of concept so that people can say, or those people that you're collaborating with or helping you navigate that journey, be like, yep, we believe in what you're doing.
So I think it's directing people once you get them. And it doesn't always mean in a monetizing kind of vibe. So what I mean by that is like, yes, there's going to be a season where you want to grow your tribe, you want to grow your fan base, right? But you have to do a temp check to see if they're paying attention, if they're really rocking with you, or if this is just a numbers game, right? So you would want them to maybe, I don't know, join an email list, maybe join a text community. Shout out to all the text gang. Right? Go to another social media platform. Take them somewhere to show that you have I don't want to say power because it sounds horrible, but like that you have the power to lead your tribe to different places and different platforms and different ways you want them to go. Because if they listen to you here, then they would possibly listen to your music, and they would possibly buy your music, and they will possibly buy your concert tickets, possibly buy the merch while they're at the concert, because you're directing them to different places and then they pop up. But that's why it's important to grow that tribe first, because they get used to your voice, they trust your voice, you build credibility with them, and the first place that you take them because that's that first leap that they have with you, right? They're going to be like, okay, he or she didn't take me nowhere crazy. That person is about what they said, right? And so when you can maneuver people that way, then people could go, look, I have not only this amount of social media people, but then I have an email list that's like this, and then I have a text group that's like this, and then I have this amount of people always going to my website. Here's my analytics for that. So the second that I drop something, they're going to be ready. I've primed them up so much, and they follow my direction because, and I've tested it out multiple places. So I think that's when you could prove the direction, is when you can prove that, you know, the partnerships and the sponsorships and all that great stuff will make sense.
That's dope. That's dope. I like that. Because it's super tangible. It's like you can still prove concept or have proof of concept in a way that still puts your people first, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're talking about having them subscribe to an email list or a text community. Well, guess what? You're going to serve them even more in either of those platforms or either of those mediums. So I think it's really dope that the way to prove concept is to further the concept or put the people first. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. Really dope. I want to transition and actually talk about him now hitting the mainstream, right? Like he put out his first single, Who Dat?
Yep.
Right? In May 2010. And of course, this was after the whole mixtape or whatnot.
Yep.
But it actually flopped.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It was a flop. And it was a big disappointment to him because it wasn't who he was. Mm-hmm. Now, as part of the show, we always never want to dismiss the human element or, you know, the real life scenarios that really help people get to the success that they have, whether it be in establishing a business, a brand, or the combination of the two. Because I think one of the things for me that I'm realizing is like, yo, brand and business really do go hand in hand. It's like, they're not inseparable as some people may think. They literally go hand in hand, and sometimes the other will hold one back. So you might think that I need to grow the business, but it's not the business that's holding you back. It's actually the lack of branding or maybe some lack of consistency on that end. But anyway, he puts out that song, it flops. Mm-hmm. So he goes back out and he says, all right, you know what? I need to stay mainstream. Let me stay in the game. So he puts out that mixtape Friday Night Lights. And that was his way of kind of keeping some level of traction. And he put that out 6 months later. So you think between May and November, just about 6 months. And he then has a lot of pressure from the people at Rock Nation, like, yo, we need a hit. Mm-hmm. We need a hit. And you kind of started the show time elaborating about this concept, that was the concept. You roll out a hit, you get some traction, you finish the album and you roll with it because that is where most of the belief is. But you talk about your best players, like think about it like this. Your best player, the person that you were going to go all in on, flops like Jordan status, right? Because that's technically a Jordan flop. But even to the point where there is no real awards, right? No accolades, no MVPs or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then he starts to kind of transition as he's getting acclimated to the music industry. He's like, okay, I see what's happening. Like, here's what they want, and how can I give them what they want? And he's going with this back and forth thing. Eventually, about a year later, he puts out that single Workout, mm-hmm. which actually it hits, right? Like it clicks. It finally clicked for him. So it was like top 13 or 13 on the top 100. Mm-hmm. It clicks for him about 7 or 8 months later. But
You good?
So then,
you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm looking at something else. But he has that epiphany, right? Okay. He has that epiphany where he's like, okay, I went too far from who I am mm-hmm. to satisfy the people, mm-hmm. but I'm not being true to who I want to be, to my real fans. Mm-hmm. And he starts to explore this concept of authenticity now. Long story short, this is like a reoccurring theme that we touch on every single time, but never as apparent as we've seen here with J. Cole. I want to pass it over back to you to introduce the concept with Nas now, right? Because he literally has an interview where he's explaining, you know, what happened when one of the producers reached out to him and said, yo, like, we didn't really expect that from you, even on the single that hit.
I got
Do you have that video there?
Sure do. Hold on.
Record, because I feel like I finally beat the game. You know what I mean? And that was workout. So I go play it for Jay. I'm like, yo, we got it. Please, come on, man, let's go. To my fan base, it's like, yo, that's the chosen one. Right. So when they heard that song, it threw them off. To add insult to injury, that being the worst response ever, I was with Nas, man, and Nas was talking about you, man. Like, why did he do that? You know what I mean? Like, don't he know he's the one? Like, why did he? Nah, man. You know what I mean? So when he told me that, it hurt, and I never forgot it.
Right.
All right. So let me break this down real quick. So, this is the thing. As we grow as brands and everything, we have people that inspire us, right? So for J. Cole, that was Nas, right? For J. Cole, that was Jay-Z, right? Now, in the beginning, right, you have to, people tend to try to fit into what the model is already, right? And so you want to put out that radio song at the time, which now is not apparent, right? But at the time, you want to try to put out that radio song so all the radios could play it and have buzz and everything and be on billboards, right? But that was never J. Cole's core music. Like, he's not the radio type, right? There is a certain audience that listens to him. It's more, I think it's a little bit more underground, but not super underground. It's a different vibe with J. Cole, right? Where it's okay to play it commercially, mainstream, but it still doesn't really fit in and is not super underground. So with his style, it did attract the tops like Jay-Z, clearly, hence why he got signed. It did attract Nas and all these other great rappers at the time and still are, right? But because he's trying to get his name out there, because he's trying to sell the album and everything like that, not only did he put out a weak, compared to his past singles, weak song, right? But then he had all these features on the first album, right? And which, I mean, the one with Missy Elliott is still one of my favorites, but knowing me as well as a core J. Cole fan is still not what we would expect from J. Cole. So by him transforming into the industry instead of him transforming the industry, right? He actually disappointed people who he looked up to. He actually disappointed people that he admired and had motivated him to drop bars. And so, Moose, we've gone through this conversation multiple times of how, you know, being your true self is what makes you one of the greats. And that situation there, actually, let me play another video because it breaks down as well how important it is to go with what you know and the art and the passion that you have and then business. So let me play this video real quick.
You don't have to have the features. You don't have to drop the single. You don't have to have the radio record before they put your album out. You don't have to follow them rules. You can put out what you love and still sell records if you connecting with people. It ain't gonna be overnight.
Yeah.
You do art first and then build the business around that. That's what I figured out and that's what I've been doing.
The art first.
Definitely.
So, first off, I haven't acted right all day. Hold on. I get these air horns all day, right? That right there deserved an air horn because I think a lot of us get so caught up with the bag and chasing the bag, right? And so we look at things that have been working to get that and get the notoriety and the attention and everything like that, that we really forget why we came in the business for, why we came into this particular industry, why we even went on, social media or made a YouTube channel or made a website or made a shirt or whatever. We totally forgot the core reason. And when J.Cole figured that part out, it switched for him. Then everything started to work out. Then everything, no pun intended with that, but everything, his album started to be number one way quicker than before, right? So, Moose, I wanted your perspective as far as that authenticity piece of, even though it was a good album and the single did move a bit, what in your mind had to switch? What in your mind did click for him actually?
Yeah. So that is actually one of those critical moments that I think if J. Cole did not get a hold of the path that he was headed down, he would have lost his career, in my opinion. Because you think about putting out a song that the masses respond to, but in your gut it goes against what you want. Imagine he never got that call, or he never found out that Nas didn't really enjoy that song or was disappointed in him putting out that song. Mm-hmm. And he would have just been like, well, I guess I'm going to continue down this path. What makes J. Cole, in my opinion, unique is that he had done internal work to begin with. We'll introduce his manager and his business partner, Ib, in a little bit, but he talks about that in 2007 when they first met in college, working as telemarketers, right, coming up in the game, and he was his yin to the yang that was helping him get the music out there. He says J. Cole was extremely confident in being able to go through that, check himself. He didn't, he got the pulse check from Nas and some of the people around him, but really checked himself and said, nope, that's not me, and pulled all the way back to really get centered in his true authenticity. So I think when you talk about this concept, let me kind of share a definition that I think is important, because shout out to all our extreme execution coaches, by the way. We did a training on that concept last night, and I think they really are doing some phenomenal work just with the definition alone. And authenticity, and for everyone to kind of evaluate themselves too, it's really the parallel or the alignment of what, why, and how. It's the alignment of what you believe, why you believe it, and what you do are all in alignment, right? So anytime there's a violation of any of those, or you say one thing, but you do something else, or you believe something, but you say something else, that should let you know that, okay, I'm actually getting away from what is most true to me. So Cole goes on this path, pulls himself back, and kind of pivots. So in my opinion, Nikki, if he doesn't catch himself in that moment, I think it's a complete flop if he went down that path too far.
Hold up. Sheesh. Looks like Ant said something. Hold on. What did Ant say? If someone comes to our restaurant, don't we need to serve them what they want instead of what we love to serve?
Yeah, absolutely. Those restaurants go out of business quick. When you want to serve people what you want to give them and not take into consideration what they want, I think those restaurants go out of business quick.
Wait. But that's the complete opposite of what J. Cole did.
True. But I think, so here's the concept, not to get it twisted, right? We're talking about, from one concept, having a servant's heart, meaning I'm going to put others ahead of me. But at any moment, if I'm going to put somebody ahead of me and it violates what I believe at my core, you got to press the brakes on that, because now I'm going to kind of I'm going to self-suffocate, even if that, I don't know if that's a term, but I'm going to self-suffocate because I can only be there for you for but so long before I collapse, because what I'm doing is not refueling me. And we talk about that energy piece as it being so important. So for him, that I really believe was one of the more critical moments, because his career would have went down a completely different path. So to kind of, pull himself up by the bootstraps and be like, all right, no, we gon' really pivot strong here. This is where I think makes a difference. But from your standpoint, would you say that you would go further into giving the people what they like?
No.
Or
no.
Okay.
No. I mean, so with him, I think he had a pulse on what his core wanted, but I think he wanted to try to reach the masses. Now, further down the line of his career, I almost think that he went too much into what he wanted to put out. So like, what was that album? The For Your Eyes Only one? I think that was totally for him. I think he came back with KOD and that was a little bit better. But I think For Your Eyes Only was only for him. And I think at some point when you are at a certain point of your career, you've established so much that you can do stuff just cause. I mean, Lil Wayne has done things. He done a whole rock album and everything like that. So I get it. Like you can do things like that. So I think there's levels to everything. And if we pay attention to what we've been going through as far as the people, in the beginning, you kind of do have to go to an extent to what the people want more than what you want, because once you gain that credibility with them, whatever you put out, they're going to support. Whatever you put out, they're going to love it, right? And especially those core fans. Now, the warm and cold ones, not so much, but those core fans, and if you've established so much in the early age, can give you 20, 30 years in the game, So it just depends on how you work that fan base.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But I guess the question for me, and maybe we can open this up for debate in the comments, does someone need to have confidence before being authentic? Or does confidence come after you walk in your authenticity? Like, what comes first? Because I look at Cole's kind of transition through that whole, okay, people respond well to the music, but the people I look up to don't like it. And I'm like, well, did he have to check himself, rebuild himself, and then gain the confidence to go out and put and make an album with no features and finally have the success and show his full skill set? Or did he, because he had the confidence, he was willing to risk it all and say, nope, shut it down. That's not who we are. Let's start over from scratch. What do you think comes first? What would you say? Is it confidence first, or
rephrase it?
So, yeah. So I'm saying for someone to pull themselves back when they're not being true to self, right? There's a level of, let's say maybe the word is dominance, right? There's a level of like serious dominance, because you're willing to risk the success that you have right now and say, I don't want the success because I'm losing sight of who I am. Does that take confidence to get to that point? Or does the confidence come after you? Like, I guess I'm just trying to say, what's the driving factor? Like, what's the big motivator behind willing to take such a big risk? Well, what would you say in your opinion? Is it a confidence thing? Is it a values thing? Like,
it would have to be confidence. It would have to be confidence to know that your stuff can beat the odds, that your stuff it can go against what is the standard of things, what has worked before. I think it does have to have a level of confidence with that. Values play a role in that too, but I think it does go more with confidence. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I for me, I guess I was kind of questioning for myself, because I'm like, you gotta have some level of confidence either in the craft or in yourself to say, nope, like a Kobe thing, right? Like saying, no, I'm not gonna play for that team. I need to play for a winning organization. That takes true confidence, which in the beginning really comes off to like some level of arrogance. Like, dude, what are you talking about? You should be humble that you're signed to a label. You should be humble that you were put in the league. And I'm just starting to realize, again, that pattern, that trend of, it's not about just getting picked up to the people that you look up to, because even those people are human beings at the end of the day. And when you get closer, you might get a second look and kind of have a change of heart, if I'm being honest.
Well, I mean, so, and I put that comment up, and it's true. Like, being a musician is being an entrepreneur. You have to have some form of confidence in yourself to take risk. This is my thing. Like, if you go, and maybe this is the pilot in me, if you go into an industry, if you go into an opportunity and are just willing to conform to what it is and not try to make change, then you're going to be average, right? And if that's what you want to be, it also goes based off your goals. If you're cool with making a certain amount, being known as, maybe a great song during that time, a great product or service during that time, but nothing that lasts for the long game, then cool. But I mean, at the same time, I think rappers and people in general, but since we're talking about rappers, I think rappers try to be the top spot of that season, of that generation, of that, top 5 dead or alive kind of thing. Everybody wants to be on the charts of some sort, right? And those people who did go into the whole, all right, come out with the single, make it work for radio and all this great stuff, I don't know if they're still relevant right now. Sure. So by doing things by industry standard will keep you relevant for that time. If you're trying to do the long game, then you're going to want to do things differently. I really commend how he did the Dreamville album. Like how he brought everybody into, like, North Carolina did like this whole you're invited kind of thing, top artists getting invited. You knew something was happening. It got documented, and putting everybody in a room to work in seclusion. Like, no, you this is here. You're here. And it's almost a competition, because when you go into those rooms, you know that you have this opportunity to be on the track. If you flop, you flop. Certain people get certain, priorities and things like that because they knew they were flying in. But the core people in Dreamville, they were like literally battling within those terms, So, and so that was different because you didn't necessarily see a whole record label shutting it all the way down for about a week or 2 or however long that Dreamville album took to make, and he's big on, put me in a studio and let me go. That's why he wasn't great with putting features on his albums, because he just doesn't work that way. Like, he doesn't like getting distracted. He got super focused and everything. So his style was already different. How he moved, how he did things, how he was, not big about doing interviews after a while, was very concerned about what people had to say. So he stood off of it. I put up a clip today, how he was actually addicted to social media because it drained him, So he knew that he had to do it differently. If not, it was going to pretty much, and exaggerating, but pretty much kill him. Like, he was going to struggle with that. And he was going to clearly disappoint other people because he wasn't true to himself. But there's a lot of people, entrepreneurs, rappers, things like that, who aren't authentic and they're miserable. But it's working for them because they have their job, they have their status or whatever, but they may be miserable in the way they have to do that.
Hit him with I'm gonna go to my imaginary soundboard here and just hit him with
I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, that's facts though. Big facts. So let's do it. What do we think he is? What do you think?
Well, okay, so I'm gonna give one more clue.
Okay.
One more clue for my people. Hold on.
You wild out at all.
Yeah.
Do you ever get like that?
Definitely, man. I'm just like, in public, I'm way more reserved, way more of a private person. In interviews or like, if you see me out, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna show that side. But when I'm amongst my people, that's when, I know, and that doesn't make for the best celebrity, because people want you to wild out. People want
turn up all the time.
Yeah, they want you to make world star, and I'm not gonna give you that. You know what I mean?
All right, people. It's time to vote. It's time to vote. All right. How does this man behave? What does he connect with the most? Okay, so here are the things. This one's different because I think our past ones have been very very dominant in one or the other. I struggle with this one. So, all right. So here we go. Everybody put in the comments right now if you feel like he's a pilot, a flight attendant, a grounds crew, or air traffic controller. Moose, can you do me a favor? In a matter of a minute and a half, can you do a rundown of each one?
Sure.
Go.
All right. So pilots, again, based on fundamental human behavior, we know pilots are driving, demanding. They care simply about one thing: getting results, solving problems, and they're motivated by challenges. Your flight attendants are the super enthusiastic. They love people. They all about relationships and wanting to have a good time. And that's what they care about. That's what they prioritize. Your grounds crew now is the glue that keeps everything together, right? He or she may be a little bit more shy or reserved at first. This is a hint, but once you get to know them, you will actually be confused if they're extroverted or introverted, right? So I'm saying that about the ground crew. And lastly, your air traffic control, they're just a lot more calculated, right? So sure, introverted by nature, but they just want to make sure that things are in place, things are in order, and things make sense. So that's it right there for all four of those.
All right. So, Moose. You got first.
He's definitely not a pilot, though. I mean, no, he's not a pilot. No, I can't see them being a pilot. What do you think?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I don't see it.
There's no way. There's no way. I'm going to say not a flight attendant. Not a flight attendant.
Really?
Not a flight attendant at all.
But it's interesting because I actually saw someone in the comments say that ground crew in private, but a flight attendant in public. I mean, of course, it's easy to say that because he's an artist, but it's like
absolutely not. In public,
Really?
He's not a flight attendant. No, there's no way. Like, just because you perform doesn't necessarily make you a flight attendant. I think in the beginning he had to be a flight attendant because he was doing a lot more interviews before. So I think situational wise, he had to raise that up real quick. But then he pushed back and didn't do interviews. You hardly heard from him. He never really posted about anything. You never really saw his life. His marriage was a secret. His
Right.
kid was a secret, so I'm definitely not seeing any kind of flight attendant, public, private, in between, nothing. I don't know. Sorry.
Good point. I totally forgot about the fact that he had that whole private marriage thing and everyone was like, wait, you married with a kid? Like, that came up out of nowhere. You're right. That's a very good point.
Yep. So, all right. So are you stuck between these two, or you kind of know? Because I'm stuck between these two.
I know, honestly, I'm stuck. I know it's easy to lean towards one, and I think you know what I want to lean towards too. That's probably the easy thing. But I'm gonna be honest with you, and we haven't gotten into his manager much yet, but him and his manager have been working together as business partners since college.
Yep.
So anytime you have someone like that by your side, and he's gonna go out and negotiate the deals for you, he's setting up opportunities, he's kind of the gatekeeper between how you guys develop and execute a strategy, it becomes difficult to know what role you really play as the talent. Clearly, we know he is the head talent, but based on where they stand today, he is a little bit more involved. But man, I'm like, I'm not sure. That's because he's a great writer. I guess that for me is what comes to mind. It's like, but the fact that he's able to really put great rhymes together, could that hint towards some level of air traffic control? What would you say?
So before I answer that, all right, based off the two that you see, grounds crew or air traffic control, I need y'all in the comment and give y'all say what you think it is and give me the reason why, because I'm gonna start bringing them up on the screen as well. So what do you think J.Cole is? Is he a grounds crew or air traffic controller, or you just like I'm torn, right? And why? Okay, so
plead a case.
Yes, please,
so that we can.
So I'm gonna say grounds crew. Which is weird. No, I'm gonna say grounds crew. I'm gonna say, well, I mean, clearly with a certain amount of air traffic controller, but I do say grounds crew more. Why? He was way more concerned about serving the people at first. He was still at some point big on serving the people after that whole workout situation, after the first album, right? He did a tour, The Dollar and the Dream, for $8 for his fans, right?
Like 100 cents. Yes.
Yes. He's very private. He's big on family and protects them completely, hence why he's not out there saying, yo, I'm married and this, that, and the third. There was an interview when they were talking about the whole Mike Brown and Eric Gardner situation, and one of the questions was like, oh, so how does it feel to be married? He's like, oh, wait. And he's like, oh, you didn't tell nobody? Well, now people know. And he still veered his way off of the topic and didn't speak on it because he's a super private person, right? He is aware of what people say about him. And so though there is a lot of strategy and movement of why, how he does things, especially with the focus, like if I'm in the studio, there's certain control that I need as far as I make the song, I make the beats, the whole production is me, this, that, and the third. I have a hard time giving that up per se. I think it took like a few albums before he gave up the production to somebody else, right? So I think when it comes to album mode, absolutely, I would say his air traffic controller comes up a bit higher, right? But I think on a regular, I think he is a grounds crew.
Well presented, Nikki. That was good.
I
ain't even gonna hold you. That was good. Pretty good.
I didn't think we would talk about one as far as, the top tier, to be honest, because they're so low key and wanting to help people. But we got one. All right. Hold on. Grounds crew, represent all the grounds crew people in the building. Please drop that you are a grounds crew, because you do have one of the top tier rappers out there in the business now as a grounds crew, according to me. Not according to Moose, but according to me, I'm saying that he is a grounds crew.
You know what I'm gonna do? Actually, I'm gonna play a devil's advocate here for a moment.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna cheat toward our segment because we gonna have a special segment for that a little bit later on. So y'all gonna have to hang on tight for that section. But I'm gonna actually say, for those familiar with the flight assessment, he's a 99 in both. That's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm gonna say, Nikki. I'm gonna say he's a 99 both grounds crew and air traffic control. And let me plead my case. All right?
Said, wait a minute.
So you
wait a
definitely knocked it out the park when you said his desire to please his fans, to put people first, to continue to push creativity over capitalism, which is what he and his manager really is almost their claim to fame. And of course, the move with the concert, like literally putting together a concert for $1, like $1 is what you had to pay to get in the building. That shows somebody who is legit down for his people, right? But then here's the other part of it. The fact that he is very closed off in terms of who he allows into his circle, right? Let's not forget the kind of the mini beef that he had with some of the younger rappers in the game, where I know he came back and kind of corrected himself, but at first glance, someone who's extremely resistant to to change, so much so that he's like, even this new trend or path that hip hop and artists are going toward, I'm not with it, right? So it's like, that's a true air traffic control. So resistant to change, almost that he's stubborn in his ways. And you have to make the case or argue a little bit like, no features, multiple albums. And he, so much so that he comes out and says, I'm successful because of no features, right? Like he says that in one of his documentaries. So I'm gonna make the case that, hey, maybe he's a 99 in both. So look, I think it makes up for some good conversation in the chat, but what you got for that? Could it be a 99 in both?
No.
Not even a thought?
No.
Just flat no.
No. There's no way. There's no way. An air traffic controller wouldn't double down on what they say. Okay? Meaning, if he says that the littles, as he liked to put them, Little Pump, Little all these people, right? Were horrible, and then goes on a song and breaks it down even more to where he doesn't think they're horrible. They just think he's misled, and let me help you as the OG of it. That's doubling back. Him saying, the whole no features in his verses, but then goes on Angie Martinez and saying, no, people are well deserved to feature on my album. However, that's just not how I roll. That's just not what I do. Like, I get in the zone. I almost forget. Like, I'm done, and I almost forget about other people. Like, that's not really what I'm about. He double backs everything that he says in a verse. You're a rapper, so there's going to be some bars that is going to flex a little bit. You don't talk about shooting and guns and females and all that stuff, so you may have to flex how lyrical you are and your achievements. But then, to be honest with you, that's not how he felt. He did a whole 2-hour interview with Lil Pump.
Yeah.
And he went, this is how much he cares about what people say about him. So when he first insulted this generations of music, there is a podcast called 21 Jumper, right? So it's like a storefront, and then, I guess they do the podcast in the back, right? J.Cole went there, right? Because they were like, F J.Cole. They had a whole concert and everything like that. He went there to see if that same energy was going to be there and, talk it out and everything. And they were like, nah, we love you. It's all clout. We love you, right? But he was going to have a conversation to be like, yo, okay, break this down to me. Why do you care so much? So I would say hi, air traffic controller. I would say hi. I cannot sit here and agree with you on 99 as both, because I don't think a 99 would back down or double back from anything that they would say. They don't have to necessarily say it aggressive because that's a pilot kind of vibe. But when you say something, and you stand true because these are facts. And so when you double back on it, I can't say you're a 99. I personally can't say you're a 99.
You know, folks, this is why you have to take the flight assessment. Shameless plug, right? Because you can sit here and calculate the people in your life up and down, left and right, east, west, everything. But you just never know until they actually take the assessment and you see how they respond. So shout out to the flight assessment for unofficially sponsoring the show. Phenomenal.
Facts.
No comeback, Nikki. No comeback, Nikki. Once you here's where you got me. A lot of what you were saying, I'm gonna just be honest. You could put it either way, but here's where you got me. When you said the air traffic control won't back down from what he said, from what he or she believe are facts. I can't. You know my style. I cannot fight the science. Wherever the science stays true, or that data, that's when I be like, yep, no, I can't make a subjective argument towards objective data. So, all right, you got it, no doubt.
Fair. Now, do you want to go into our new segment?
Let's do it.
So, before we get into it, let me give you some context. Actually, no, I'm not doing it. No, we're just gonna go right into it.
Round 5.
So many people have loved the debate side, like kind of just like we did. We have I don't know what we want to call this segment, so help us out as far as when me and Moose go on a very intelligent debate. Let me know what you want that to be called, right? But I did want to make a whole segment of when we disagree on something. And so J.Cole was, I don't think he is anymore, but J.Cole was trending last week, right? And he put out a song. Actually, Moose, you go ahead with the facts. You go ahead.
So, and it's cool because this comes into the debate that we had over Kanye, right? When we were talking about, wait, so just because somebody's in the limelight, we as individuals want to put the pressure on them. And this is, by the way, this is what you know, your side of the argument or your side of the debate. You're just like, it's not their responsibility to have to step up and advocate every single time. Now, my perspective is, it sure is your responsibility because that's just something that comes with the platform. You have to accept the responsibility for it. So this, of course, is right around the entire movement with George Floyd, BLM, a lot of what's happening right now. So Cole gets called out because he starts to pretty much ask for some level of education, right? Or some help with how to properly get informed on what's happening right now and how to help and lead others to make the right change or, you know, increase their consciousness, if you will. Now, he's always been somebody who's out on the front lines. He's made music and put out a song about when people came, you know, bashing into his house, cops, because they assumed that, you know, some fraudulent activity was going on in there. We saw his song that he performed on the Letterman show after the Mike Brown situation. So like, he's always been, even recently, when the issues with George Floyd happened, he was out there in the middle of everyone, masked up because of COVID and still advocating, trying to make his presence be felt. But the interesting part here, and I think this is really where we need to explore, is the fact that he puts out a song to say that although you want me to lead, and I know you need a leader, I'm not the person who's qualified for you right now. In my opinion, right? What a leader What a leader. Are you kidding me? You are so real to the point that you're willing to let people know, I can't take you to the place you want to go to right now. Like, I know that it's required. I just don't have the skill set. But I'm not going to leave you hanging in the middle of the ocean. I'm not going to just take off in my boat and not throw out any life jackets or try and save somebody. Let me point you to the direction of somebody who can.
I said, wait
and
a
then,
minute.
because this is going to be my closing argument. And then the young lady wants to respond and be upset that he made a song to push people to her platform so she can do what she does best in a place that she's mastered clearly about being intelligent and conscious around systemic racism. What's the problem with that? I see no type of problem whatsoever. I'm about to go in the chats and see what the people are saying, because in my mind, I'm just like, yo, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Nikki, I'm gonna go on mute and I'm gonna let you do what you do.
All right. So, yeah, I can't agree with nothing that you just said. That
savage.
How am I a savage if you're sitting here saying, "Oh, what a great leader"? No, I think this is where his grounds crew of caring what people have to say kind of vibe, like, kicked him in the butt. Okay, so yes, Cole is a very conscious rapper. When he talks about Black Lives Matter, I'm going to show a piece where he was impacted by the Mike Brown and Eric Gardner thing. Actually, let me go into that because it might help. I'm gonna throw something towards Moose. I'm trying to help him out, but I'm about to kill him on this one. No, you do.
I almost didn't even want to hear about it because it was like too real to handle. So the video was out of this man getting choked by police officers, and I just couldn't bring myself to watch it because I just didn't want to go to that place, you know? And I feel like I gave it the generic, like, man, that's messed up, cops always doing this, but I ain't allow myself to feel because I wouldn't watch the video. Fast forward, the Mike Brown situation happens, and I just happened to catch it live, whether it be on social media or through the news, and I allow myself to follow it. I'm looking at stories of people that's there watching, talking about how this boy didn't do nothing, like, they shot him while he was running away, then he was facing them, no gun, and they killed him. So I'm watching this, and I'm following everything, and I'm allowing myself to, like, put myself, not just hear about it, not just, like, say, oh, that's messed up, that, you know, but to actually realize, like, yo, I put myself in his shoes. And actually, crying didn't start until I allowed myself to finally watch the Eric Gardner video. And when I watched it, it just, bro, the same emotion I got from watching Fruitvale is the same emotion I felt in my apartment reading that article and allowing myself to feel. Right. And I just told myself, first of all, I allowed myself to feel that, cry for as long as I needed to cry. And then I told myself, I was like, you know what? I told God, I was like, yo, I would like to say something, like in a song. I'm not gonna force it. If it comes, it comes. If it don't come, it don't come. But I would like to be able to be a voice. And lo and behold, that night I was working on something totally different, bro, like a whole nother song. And that it just happened organically.
Okay, so let me break that down, and then let me break down this situation. You shake your head already. I'm with this. So first off, he is very disconnected from the world on a regular basis, right? So he admitted, yo, I kind of brushed that off. I didn't really watch the video because I didn't feel anything, right? The only reason he made that Letterman song or that performance was because he finally saw it and he asked God, not because he felt responsible, not because he felt like he needed to say something. It hit him after he started feeling it, because when he connected back to the world, he was like, yo, okay, let me say something now. Cool. Fast forward. Now we're in this whole time that is crazy, right? Knowing Cole, based off his patterns, he's probably not paying attention. Even though he's part of the protests and everything like that, right? He's probably not saying too much because maybe it didn't hit him the same way as Mike Brown and all that great stuff. But you're telling me that a tweet from a female rapper hit you enough that you have to make a whole song about it. I think he shouldn't have made the song. I think, granted, great, it's good. I think her response was way better, right? But I think that him addressing the tweet in kind of like indirect speaking about what's happening, right? I think he just should have stayed shut. I think he got in his feelings of, okay, people are saying this about me. They're looking for me. Somehow, some way, this tweet caught my eye. You know what? Let me do a verse about that. A lot of people found that very distracting because you're not necessarily talking about the issues. So to sit there and say, oh, well, I'm not equipped to be a leader at this moment, you know, you were better off not saying anything, because now it looks like as if you are attacking the female, which we all know he wasn't. But now it just looks like your focus is on the female and your focus isn't necessarily on the situation at hand, though indirectly you're talking about it. So as a leader, you need to either step up or you need to fall back. You don't need to do an in-between to a person that now you just gave them notoriety, because not a lot of people knew who Noname was. She was a rapper that became an activist. Right now, people are starting to get to know and everything like that, right? But this was a almost silent rap beef that didn't need to happen at this moment. It just didn't. So, because it was a back and forth. She says something, he says something, she says something back. So during this time that needed to be addressed? Absolutely not. I think if he didn't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. Period. I'm not saying he doesn't have on any other regular time, he could have said something like that. Cool. But there's a lot of things that are happening in the world that as a conscious rapper, hip hop fans are looking for certain people to speak. He is one of them. Kendrick is another one. Kendrick is in these streets, but Kendrick has not put a song out. We don't know what he's doing in the back end, but we can't necessarily say he's not doing anything, right? But what we can say, because perception is everything, is that J.Cole is more concentrated on what people are saying about him as far as needing to speak than necessarily saying what's happening in the streets, happening with Black Lives Matter and things like that. So I don't know if that necessarily deems him a great leader because he wanted to address something that wasn't super relevant at the time. Period.
No. Let me tell you why. All right. Here we go. I'm gonna keep my composure because this is a debate, and after all, a debate is not all about getting all hot and heated.
You can. I'm here for it.
Solid point, though. I see what you're saying. Like, yo, really, you're gonna let a tweet get your attention? I get you. Here's why, though. Here's why it got his attention. Because you know I'm super duper into air traffic control. Went to the lyrics of the song and said, all right, show me the facts. Let's see the statement of what he actually said. He wasn't caught off guard by her tweet. He started reading all of what she was saying. And here's what he's saying. Right?
You want me to pull it up?
Well, there's some words that are not friendly to you know what I'm saying? But I got it on Google. And for folks, go check it out. Snow on the Bluff, lyrics. Y'all can follow along, but I'm gonna read it out. I wanna make sure I read it out, because here's the part that's important to understand, Nicky, and this is why I say is leadership. Mm-hmm. Leadership is not being arrogant and claiming yourself to be a leader at any moment, even if you are not qualified to lead that role. That's not leadership. Mm-hmm. Leadership is appointing the right person that is required, that is equipped and has both the skill set and the mindset at the time that they're needed most. That's leadership. So again, I'm not stepping back as a leader and leaving you out there to run the business, to manage the brand, to run the movement on your own, or leaving nobody in the appointed chair. I'm stepping back because I'm humbly saying, yo, I'm not the most qualified person here. But you know what? Here is the person who is. So people on my platform, let's get together with their platform and let's push one message. Because if everyone wants to be a leader, then who's gonna follow? How are you gonna be a leader if you got no followers? Period. And I'm not talking about social media followers. I'm just talking about in general. How is a leader gonna be a leader without a follower? And that's part of the struggle for today. Everyone claims to be a leader, so guess what? There are too many messages for people to listen to. Back in the day, when it came to BLM, you had two people to choose from, and not for very long because they ended up, unfortunately, getting assassinated. You were with Malcolm or you were with Martin. That's it. You didn't have a gazillion million people to go out there and be like, oh yeah, this is my leader, that's my leader, what's they saying, and debating about it. So my point is, and I actually honestly embody the same sentiment, and this may get some controversy here. It's when we're telling people that it's not my job to educate you. If you are in the position where you're finally ready to receive help in any form, and again, don't just look at it in the concept of this moment in time. It's like, imagine a drug addict finally saying, yo, I'm ready to be free. Can you help me? And you're like, no, it's not my job to help you. It's not my job to educate you. You go figure it out on your own. Someone who's addicted to pornography or whatever it is, right? Any sort of, and let's go to that extreme. And they're like, man, yo, I'm ready to come free. Like, that's it. I want to be saved. I want to walk. I want to do it the right way. And you're like, nope, not my job to educate you. So this is what he's saying. Look at this. He says, you're mad at these crackers, capitalist, murder police. Indeed. You're mad at our ignorance, and you're wearing your heart on your sleeve. So you're mad at celebrities, and I honestly think you're talking about me. Now look at the humbleness, and this is why I say this is a leader. Now I'm not a dummy to think I'm above criticism. So when I see something that's valid, I listen. But it's something about your tone that's bothering me. Stick with me, y'all. This is important. I want you to get this last piece, right? Just because you're woke and I'm not, that's not no reason to talk to me like you're better than me. How are you attacking the same people that really do need to hear what you're saying? Come on, Nicky. That's the point. He's admitting, yo, I'm not educated as you are. Teach me. You gonna bash him for asking? That's my point.
So, I'm gonna say a statement, and it might make you mad, and I'm cool with this, right?
I'm mad that you're mad at being cool with making me mad. That makes me.
I'm just
sweating.
I don't know why. So this is the thing. That verse right there proves my point that he put too much emphasis on her. Period. It didn't talk about necessarily what was happening in the streets. Talked about her and how it made him feel and how her tone was and everything like that. So, needless to say, that's that, right? But at the same time, I'm going to completely disagree with you in the beginning when you said, yo, how great of a leader. I don't even think J.Cole is a leader in this movement, period.
Right.
I don't think J.Cole, just because he is a conscious rapper, I think people have given him a title of doing certain things within the community, and actually crucifying him and Kendrick and other conscious rappers for not doing more during these times, but they are rappers, right? Now, it does look a little bit crazy. I will admit, it does look a little bit crazy, especially for him right now, that you're going to indirectly speak about the topic, and you're going to put majority of the focus on a tweet and a female. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy, right?
No.
Talk about it directly or don't talk about it at all, like I said before. But here we go again with, we put too much responsibility on entertainers. Just because maybe they walk that walk for a second, they talk that talk for a second, and now we put that whole "you are an activist" on their shoulder. I think that when he gets moved, he says something. When he gets moved, he does certain things. But he has his own world that he is worried about. And though he was at the protests and everything like that to show where he stands and everything, I think this particular song, though, was great lyrically, though the beat was fire, all that great stuff, it was a bit distracting because now we have to have conversations of what his intentions was. And that's sad because we knew Cole on a certain pedestal and now we're questioning. Like, and granted, that's that whole social responsibility. Like, once you reach a certain status, once you reach a certain kind of following in a career, is it correct to say that you have a certain responsibility to your tribe to say or do something? Back to what I said about the Kanye thing, who are we to say yes or no as far as what is he supposed to do within this movement? What is he supposed to say? What is he supposed to act? What is, however, I don't think this was the right move. I don't think this was genius. I don't think this was anything of leadership position or anything. I think he was going through his social media, just like how I proved in my social media post today, that he gets pulled by social media, right? He gets addicted and he gets pulled, and the energy goes towards what's happening on social media, not necessarily what's happening in the real world. He got pulled into certain comments and he directed that energy. He got moved and made a song based off that. It was a silent, peaceful rap beef. It was a rap beef.
I just don't see it as a beef though, because I look at it, it's like new age voting. It's new age politics. That's really what it is. You know why? Because he's directing people to the right leader. Everyone is making a song about her and about him. It's not about him or her. That's the truth. It's not about him or her. He's directing people who need help to a source that can help them. And he's given her some constructive criticism based on what she says or how she goes about offering the help. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, look at, even if you scroll a little bit further down, right? Mm-hmm. In terms of some of the advice that he's given. Let me find this part. Give me a sec. Hold on. I just had it too. Where is it at, Kay? If I could make one more suggestion respectfully, mm-hmm. I would say it's more effective to treat people like children, understanding the time, love, and patience that's needed to grow. Mm-hmm. I'm appointing you, the people, to the right source that can help you, because I'm not qualified to lead right now. And let me give some suggestions to that leader publicly, so that maybe other leaders who are leading this way, and there's a lot of people who have been leading with this exact mindset, mm-hmm. and I'll take the heat for people saying, wait, are you saying it's our responsibility to educate racists on how to stop being racist? No, I'm not saying that. But we have to amend on peace at some point. So again, not to go off topic, he is giving her some suggestions on, yo, I hope you can take this or accept it from how it's intended to be. Here's what I would say you should do so that you can get the people who need what you're saying to actually listen to you, because they need what you're saying. Like, imagine that. You have the medicine, you have the style, you have the information, but the way that you're delivering it is creating a disconnect from those who need it most. That's all I'm saying. It's not about her, it's not about him, but I just thought that you gotta acknowledge the truth. It takes somebody who is a true leader, who's honest. Self-awareness, and let's just be clear here, self-awareness is being aware of both your talents and your limitations. Okay, let me say that again. Self-awareness is being aware of both your talents and your limitations. So here goes somebody who's telling you, yo, I'm not qualified. That's a limitation. That's me being aware of a limitation or an area that I'm about to start trekking in that I'm not qualified to lead in, or be the lone wolf or the person who's gonna carry the weight. So no, I'm not gonna do it. Again, if we're going to teach, then we need to be honest about everything that we're teaching in all sides of it.
So you're telling me during this time we needed to hear from a person who's saying I'm not going to lead? That's what you're telling me. That's okay for a person to say, no, sorry, I ain't got you today. During this time, you're saying it's cool that a person goes, nah, it ain't my time. I can't do anything for you guys. Well, you might as well stay in the. But he did. But no,
he's Nikki. Him saying I'm not your guy. He's saying him going out and making that song and not appointing any person, not giving any feedback to other leaders who are pushing this type of style of leadership right now. That's him not saying, yo, my bad, y'all. I'm out of here. I just can't do it. I'm not with it. Like, I just need to go back in my shell and be a grounds crew. That's him not choosing to lead. But at this point, I'd love to see some feedback as well because I don't want to be I feel very passionate about this, of course, and as air traffic control, I'm not supposed to get this revved up.
You can feel passionate. I put up the tweet that started it all. Right there, I put up the tweet that started it all of what he was responding to. Now, the thing is, okay, based off what you were saying, right? You're saying that he took the energy and said, yo, go follow her? Like, that's who you should be listening to? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Because again, I'm taking it from the song, literally directly from the lyrics. And he's saying, yo, someone who's gotten my attention, y'all need to listen to her. That's me. And again, I see people saying I'm poetic. I'm not poetic. I'm just repeating what he's saying in the song. That I'm reading from the lyrics. It's him saying, yo, here's the person you should listen to, right? Like, he's opening his platform and saying, yo, go here.
So let me address this question real quick. Because, like, Nikki, are you saying that people are wrong to not jumping into a lane that they aren't comfortable with? No. I'm cool with him not being a leader. I'm cool with him not saying a single thing because it's not his responsibility. But you're putting salt on an open wound by saying, I will not lead. I am not it. I'm just not it. When people, and because if you have a temp check like he does on his fans, they are looking for him. So now you just disappointed people by saying, I'm not it, go over there. We don't know her. We don't know who she is. All we know now is this tweet. You may have done the research. We're particular not, because in this day and age, we clip certain things. So there may be huge context of who she is and how great of a person she is. Like I said, now people are doing research, but all we know is that one clip. That's where people started and stopped. And then they may have went to the response of what she said about J.Cole. But for you to sit there and say, I'm not going to lead you guys. I'm not educated enough. You just let down a whole group of people during a time that there was already enough happening. Period. Don't say anything. There's no reason to say you were good not saying anything before. You have been a pro and not saying anything. A pro. Now all of a sudden some female says something and you're saying who didn't necessarily said anything about let me be your leader. So not only did you say, hey, I'm not your leader, but then put the responsibility on someone who may not wanted that full responsibility. That's crazy. That's crazy. Who said that she wanted that responsibility, period?
It's just difficult to me. Like it's like somebody coming to me and asking me, with me speaking on the topic, that I don't want the responsibility to lead. If you've openly and have consistently engaged in the conversation, I'd like to think that's you, right? Like wanting to be a part. Like you have, and we talked about this. This doesn't even matter the size of your platform. Clearly, she's had some level of a platform if she was able to get her message out to reach J.Cole, right? That it had to have been shared multiple times. But again, I think the closing part that I would say to this is that it's not that he was saying, I don't want to lead y'all and I'm going to go sit on the bench, or I don't want to lead y'all and I'm going to go chill on my yacht because I'm an artist making all this money and y'all go be peasants marching. That he didn't say that, right? From what I see, and again, I'm just taking lyrics, so forgive me if this comes off a little bit subjective, right? But when I look at the lyrics and he says, can you walk with me? Right? Fill me up with some wisdom and courage, plus endurance to survive, help me thrive. Right? So it's like he's not sitting on the bench and saying, nah, I want out. Give me the red card. Eject me now. He's saying, again, from a leadership standpoint, yo, I'm not qualified to lead. And this is how I translate the message. I'm not qualified to lead. You go out front. Let me come behind you and let me learn in the process so that I can share with my people. And this is a snapshot in time. If we really want to get real metrics of what's going to happen, I'd be excited to see what other music or other things he, releases in the near future or over the next year to give a greater picture around what happened here. Because knowing someone like Cole, he's not just going to put out, this one song and close it. I know he tweeted the following day and said, yo, I stand behind everything I said in that song the next day. So I imagine he's going to pull more inspiration from this and probably share, more of his views on this concept. So, but yeah, that final piece I'll say on that, of course, I understand there's two sides to every story and people will make their own opinion. But, I think that him not self-ejecting and saying, no, I want out, but saying, nah, like, yo, you lead, I'll follow. A typical grounds crew move, right? Like if you have a greater compelling argument or you appear to be more equipped for the situation, I don't mind following. And since we agreed that he's a grounds crew, let's just go ahead and keep that statement true right here.
I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I think though you make your own lane, you still are aware of the industry that you're in, and you're still aware of your movement and your words, especially his words, is being looked at. And he even says in past interviews that people tend to worship their idols, Him understanding that. Him recognizing it for within himself when it came to Kanye and Jay-Z. Does he then just disregard that because of the times? And so that gives him the freedom to particularly say, hey, I'm not what you think I am. That's a verse, right? I'm not what you think you have in mind of me. Like, sorry to say, sorry to disappoint you, but I ain't it. I think it's timing. I think there's timing for everything. I think that wasn't particularly the time to address, I am not who you think I am. That's just how I feel about that. Like I said, people put that responsibility. I've never put in that responsibility on Cole. Of course, we all want those verses. Of course, we all want to see what he did before, but clearly God hit him before. And so, you know, he walked that walk earlier. And so the expectations of, well, if you did it for Mike Brown and Eric Gardner, this is something similar, even more extreme now. Where are you, sir? And you know the steps that you did before, and you are clearly stating now, nah, I ain't it. Sorry, it's not me. I just think he could have put that song out well past when things have calmed down. And put some more context of this is why I wasn't speaking during this time. And then he could bring this up when that has passed. But I can't knock people for saying that, yo, right now, during that time where certain cops were still not charged for Breonna Taylor, for, you know, certain protests still happening, certain cops still acting up, and for you to put focus on a tweet, bad timing. Just bad timing. I'm not saying he's completely wrong. I'm just saying that's bad timing. And he should have known better. He should have known better.
You're a tough judge, Nikki.
I'm a fan. Listen, I have all J. Cole's albums. I have all J. Cole's mixtapes. I love Cole. But that's why I said he has a lot to grow and he has a lot more to do, because there's a way to move when there's people who look up to you. And so I'm not sitting here saying, put your fist up and go march and be in front of the podium and speak your piece and go to the precincts and do all. I'm not sitting here saying all that. I'm not even saying make a whole album. Like there was 15 revolutionary tracks that came out on Friday or something like that. I'm not even saying sit there and do that. But the fact that other people who we weren't expecting do that, and then you put this song out. The Baby put out a Black Lives Matter song. Beyonce, who doesn't say anything at all, came out with something empowering. Did she say, I'm going to sit here and lead people? No. She expressed her way in the creativity, in her way that she wants to do it. There's other people that have moved normally and just try to be reality outside of what is happening. He became a distraction. Because at that time, we were not trending about the protests. At that time, we were not trending about cops. We were not trending about what was important. We were not talking about coronavirus. We were not talking about what honestly needs to be spoken about and what really needs a change. His lyrics did not need to be changed. His career does not need to be changed. Her career doesn't need to be changed. People's lives in the streets need to be changed. And he took that away because he knows we have squirrel-like moments in this day and age with social media. Period.
I can respect that. I mean, I respect that part of it specifically. Right? It's like you could have spoke your mind from an empowering standpoint. But in my opinion, as someone who's had similar sentiment to the concept of refusing to educate people in a moment of need, when we can get to the solution, that's the part that I felt, you know what, nonetheless, whether people take it as, oh, he made a song about the female or this or that, it's a message that was needed, right? It was a message that was most certainly needed, that we need to remind ourselves, however image you want to portray yourself to be, leader, non-leader, activist, influencer, business owner, personal brand, right? That if your push is for a solution, you can't deny people, certain opportunities at getting the nutrients that they need to finally make that happen. And I've shared this before, and I don't want to go away from the main topic here, but I just felt anytime you leave a group of people to feel like they have a need to come and retaliate because you disrespected them, or you, whatever the case may be, or you did wrong by them, you never get to a solution. You never get to a solution when you leave a group of people feeling like they need to retaliate.
But what is the solution that he gave? That's my confusion. Like, what was the solution that he gave? Because by him saying nothing, we were already looking at other people. We weren't waiting for J.Cole. We were waiting for maybe possibly music, but we weren't waiting for him per se to be a leader. So what solution did he give with this song?
Those parts that I read to you, right? How are you going to speak at the people who you need the very same people that need your message? How are you speaking to them? Are you speaking to them in a way that's receptive? And forget the moment, right? Because again, and everyone tuned in, right? I don't want us to start beefing in the chats about, right and left. Mm-hmm. The message, so that we can continue to progress as a community, as a group of people, as society. Mm-hmm. The message here is, regardless of what you claim yourself to be in the moment of time, know your role, but also make sure that you're delivering your message in a way that is going to be, in the way that it needs to be received by the people, not just how you want to say it. Because that's what I think, as I mentioned earlier, that's the constructive criticism that he's given to the young lady and saying, hey, look, what you're saying is fire, but the way you're saying it, you're attacking the very same people who need to hear what you got. So I hope you don't take this personal. Don't wear your heart on your sleeve. And this is where I'm seeing, in the lyrics of the song. And that's not rocket science. This is somebody in plain English telling, hey, what you got is powerful, but you might just want to change it up. And I think a big part of his reason wanting to respond to the tweet is because he says it. Yo, I felt like you were talking at me. Mm-hmm. So that's how I look at it. But I think ultimately, so we can circle back and really make sure our point hits home. From a business and branding standpoint, is your message being delivered to the people who need your message in the way that they can understand it? Yes, it has a twist of your style. It has a twist of you and your narrative and where you come from and who you are. But is it in the sound that's produced so that they can understand and enjoy that message? Or is it in just the way that you want it to be and you're forcing it out to the public? That's a question that honestly a lot of us need to ask ourselves.
I'm still confused about one thing.
What's that?
You're saying that she was talking down to people, but she was only attacking celebrities. Like, she wasn't talking down to people. She was calling out top selling rappers. She wasn't completely bashing the audience that she has and who was seeking information. If they were seeking information from her, she called out some high rappers, just like how we spoke about last week, how certain people are calling out influencers to speak on the whole Black Lives Matter movement. So she was just one of those people, just like how we spoke about before. Yo, you have a following. Yo, you're a conscious rapper. Yo, you're doing this. Why are you not saying anything? So it wasn't an attack towards people. It was an attack towards top selling rappers, which a lot of people Granted, I don't necessarily agree with, but a lot of people have been calling out people with a platform. So it's not, I don't see where, I can't agree with you that she was talking bad, unless you can pull it up, where she was talking down towards people who were actually doing something or who needed the information. She was just calling out what she saw.
Yeah, and I'm not going to intelligently say that I have the exact tweet as you have. You also control the screen, but
I can pull it up. Bring me.
Get it. I will look for it, though, in the meantime, as we have the conversation, but I don't think that was the only message that he's referring to. All right? And let's just look at some of her favorite follow-ups, right? Your favorite rapper's favorite rapper is a communist. Right? It's like you're bashing a group of people who have the reach. Is that what we're doing? We're going to, by the way, this is a political strategy. I hope you know. People have used this in the past where they attack a group of people so that they can get that other party or that other side to kind of lose focus from their main agenda. So they just have to respond to what you're doing. So what happens? More of the attention falls on you. So if you don't think this young lady is being very strategic about what she's doing here, then, you know, I think it's an interesting, definitely an interesting conversation moving forward. But I don't think it was that only tweet that he responded to, because again, based on the lyrics, he's talking about that he read through, right, some of her stuff and came across some of these concepts. But
I mean, I can pull it up. I can pull it up. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh, I know the competitive in you was doing it, and I'm gonna meet you halfway. I'm scrolling through her tweets now too.
I'm trying to find the part where she started talking about this. So I'm at June 6th. But people in the comments.
What's the date on that? 5/29.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
People in the comments. Who do you? Okay, so let's do this. We do this in our other call. Who do you side with? All right. Are you Team Moose or are you Team Nicky? I don't need to know an explanation. I just need to know: are you Team Moose, Team Nicky, or neither? I see both of your points. I'm cool with the neutral people, i.e., grounds crew people. I'm cool with y'all. But are you Team Nicky or are you Team Moose? All right? I need to know that. Hold on. Wait. I
got one.
I got Team Nicky. Wait, hold on. Let me pull this out. Hold up. Yicky. Ash said Team Nicky. Sam said Moose. Natasha said Team Nicky. Troy said Team Nicky. Oh, we got Team Moose. We got Team Moose. I got Team Nicky. Moose all day.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, it seems pretty even. Again, Nicky, Moose, Nicky,
Okay.
neutral. I ain't mad at that. Let's say neither. Hold on.
Yikes. Okay, Johnny. Powerful with the neither.
Johnny, plead your case. Johnny, plead your case. Shout out to Helen. Helen said Team Nicky. Team both. I see both of y'all. I'm with the both. You can't go wrong with both. You can go wrong with neither, though. You go wrong. I'm just letting you know this. You could go wrong with neither. I'm just letting you know. I believe I understand Nicky's perspective, but I'm siding with... What? No. I believe I understand, but I'm siding with Moose. You can't... That doesn't make sense. That you can't just say you side with Moose. That's one of those people that are just like, yeah, you know, I would love to do this with you. I had everything planned out for you and all that, but I'm not gonna do it. Why are you telling me that? Why are you telling me that?
It's diplomatic though. It's a good
Oh,
way
look,
to say it.
Johnny
It's a good way
said.
to disagree
Johnny
with
said
you.
I meant both. No team. Okay. All right. Cool. That sounds better. That sounds
Johnny,
better.
hold your position, brother. If you felt like it was neither, hey, I encourage you to hold your position. Don't change your answer now, because you know what I'm saying. I know Nikki got a presence to her. She might make you be like, I mean, I said both. I said both.
Listen.
If you say neither, hold that answer. Take it to the grave.
Yeah, sure.
Unless we intelligently educated you and change your perspective, then I will appreciate, your concept for both.
I'm with it. Anyways, all right. That was the end of that battle. Until next time, Moose. Until next time.
Indeed.
So listen, if you got any kind of value, any kind of emotional kind of roller coaster, you laughed, you cried, you got mad, you got frustrated, you saw Moose sweat, you got inspired.
Just because it's hot in here, you know what I'm saying?
Either way, you saw him get real riled up. If you saw any of this, felt very passionate about this, share this. Share this because other people need to hear this kind of breakdown. And kind of what I like now is that we're kind of talking about like current events, but as well as breaking down who the person is before we just go, hey, here's the problem, right? Look, I appreciate y'all sticking around for 2 hours. There's nothing more I can't say about that. I appreciate that. I appreciate Moose for you sparring with me back and forth about a person we both truly love,
Indeed.
And so that's always the great part about it. I think it would go really left if one didn't like the person. But we both really respect the career of J.Cole and what he's been doing and everything like that. So it was fun. You had valid points. I had valid points. I actually made you think that he may be a grounds crew. And then you said air traffic control later and then said grounds crew at the end. It was the most funniest thing.
Well, that was remember, if you go
thing.
back to the recording, I said, let me be devil's advocate here and say he was 99 both. Okay?
Right.
So
but then all of a sudden when he spits this verse, he's a grounds crew.
I mean,
Convenient 99. He's a convenient 99. I'm just letting you know. Convenient.
hey, as a communicator, you got to go with what's needed. You got to pull on the pockets that are needed to plead the case. So
Absolutely. Look, Tasha said I did laundry and ate dinner with y'all. Listen, just turn the computer on, turn the phone on, put the headphones and go. We sitting in the same spots. This is going.
Got you.
All right. And this is going to be converted into a podcast, all that great stuff. We had to get the name right. So yeah, it's happening. So love you guys. And you already know what we're going to say.